Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another eyeshadow palette ranking video. You guys really loved my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette ranking video, so I figured I would do my second favorite brand of all time, which you guys I'm sure know about, and that is Charlotte Tilbury. I actually have 7 palettes from Charlotte Tilbury currently. I used to have a couple more, but ended up decluttering them because they were no longer palettes I was reaching for. This video is going to go from number 7 all the way over to number 1, and I'm super excited because there's a lot of beautiful palettes to talk about today, so let's get right on into it. Alright, let's get right on into this palette ranking. If you guys are new to me or my channel, welcome. It is so nice to meet you. Thanks so much for clicking on this video today. I actually just talk about high-end and luxury makeup. That is one of my favorite things in the world. And I also love talking about high-end and luxury handbags and accessories from time to time. So if you love all things high-end, you are in the right place. Anyway, Charlotte Tilbury is a high-end makeup brand. Not only that, but she is a brand that I really love because so many of her items are super high quality. I feel like most of the time I get on with them really well. So today we're just talking about eyeshadow palettes. If you want more of an entire Charlotte Tilbury like shopping guide or best and worst from her line, I would love to do that. So do let me know in the comments down below. But the first palette I'm going to talk about that is in number 7. And by the way, this is really tough to do because these are such beautiful palettes across the board. Because they made it past my declutter, they're obviously palettes I love. So it's tough to rank something when you love them so much. But this is palette number 7, and this is actually one of her palette of pops, or essentially just her sparkly pop shades that are in these quads that she offers in her line. So this is palette number 7. It is the luxury palette of pops in the collection Supersonic Girl. This was actually released, I believe it was last year or the year prior, so it was kind of around Christmas time. This was this little cutie's debut, basically, and this essentially is kind of like Charlotte's rendition of basically putting like her sparkle shades in one particular palette. You do get one pop shade in each of the quads that she offers, typically anyway. There's a few that don't have it, I believe, but most of them do. Anyway, this is a beautiful little quad, but it is in 7th place because it's one that I don't wear a ton. It is one I like to grab from time to time when I just want like a pop shade, which of course is the whole point of this, but I feel like the palette by itself, you can't really do a look by itself really that easily. I mean, it's possible, of course, but then you're just doing like shimmer on shimmer. These are quads that are very much more of accessories to other looks, in my opinion, which is why they're not ranked as high as some other complete palettes that Charlotte offers. I do feel like this pinky shimmer kind of in this corner here is also one that she tends to do a ton in just kind of different variations. I've seen this shade in a lot of different palettes, so she likes to be a little bit redundant with shades similar to this, as well as pink. We will get to that. But this is definitely a really cute palette, but in number 7th place. The palette that is in number 6th place is actually this one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Icon palette. This, you guys, is a beautiful reflective bronze palette with that gorgeous graphic design. Really love the front of this palette. It's definitely different for Charlotte because normally when she does 12-pan palettes, they're more skinny kind of and like long, if that makes sense. So kind of looking like this, whereas this one is a totally different palette style, palette shape. Really like that she tried something new with this one. And the color story inside of this is really interesting too. So I'm going to show you guys just kind of where she goes with this palette. It's actually really cool and a little bit more, I guess, bolder looks than some of her other palettes can provide. So here's the palette on the inside, you guys. As always, Charlotte likes to kind of give you some inspiration on how to use them together. For this palette, she has them in vertical groups. So the top is like the prime, the second is the enhanced shade, and the third is the smoke shade. So you can see that she really lays out everything beautifully for you. She of course has her classic pink look, then she's got like a kind of reddy pink and gold. then the browns, and then of course the bolder look. So I do like where she's going with this palette. I think it's very different for her. And I do think this is a palette that's really user-friendly because the mattes in this palette are super creamy and they're buildable as well. So if you're wanting like full-blown pigment on your eye, you do have to do a couple of layers with each matte, but the shimmers are beautiful. I would say the shimmers in this are a little bit more muted. They're not as sparkly compared to some of her other shades, if that makes sense. There are some that are sparkly and some that are a little bit more muted. So this is a really gorgeous palette. I'm going to see if I can show you one-handed. That's a little bit tougher. Okay, there we go. But this is a beautiful palette to own if you're wanting something that has the versatility of more like everyday friendly and then kind of going into bolder looks really easily. She does offer a quad that has some greens, a quad that has some blues. But if you're wanting some more diversity, this is a really good palette here. So very, very happy that I have this one in my collection. This is palette number 6. Palette number 5 is another one of her quads, and this is one that is really, really popular amongst her line too. It does sell out from time to time. This is the Luxury Eye Quad in Bigger, Brighter Eyes, Exagger Eyes. This is super beautiful. It's more of like a cooler toned palette. As you can see, I love the pop in this one because it's kind of like a silvery purple. It's super, super beautiful. Has like a bit of a champagne twist. It's a very versatile shade. I'm actually going to show you on my hand here because it's super, super stunning. This is the pop shade in this one, so you can see it's really, really beautiful. Has like a bit of a purple, bit of a bronze, bit of a champagne. Really, really beautiful on the eye. This definitely makes the quad what it is, I think, because the other ones you've seen in a lot of her other palettes. Like I do think that this shade here, you've seen quite a bit. The kind of shimmery white is kind of common. So this is a really beautiful palette for every day. I do like her quads because they're so easy to put looks together with and have a beautiful eye look for work or for night. So how her quads work is that you have the top left that is the prime, the second shade on the top right is the enhance, the fourth one actually is the define or basically smoke out, and then you have the pop shade, which is the shimmer. And because this one is just so grab and go, it's so easy just to put in your purse and stuff, fabulous, fabulous option. Definitely palette number 5. Palette number 4, I am unsure if it is discontinued by now or not. I think I've seen it around a little bit, so hopefully it is available. If it is, I will link it in the description box if I can find it. But this is the Starry Eyes to Hypnotise palette, and this is in palette number 4 position in my ranking. This is kind of the typical 12-pan palettes that she's put out. So that's kind of what I was saying about the Icon palette being so different compared to these. This is typically what she kind of pulls out for 12 pans, and typically they're kind of holiday specific, but we'll get to the exception to that rule. So this is from this past holiday, and I really like this one because of the fact that she also decided to branch out a little bit with which colors she decided to put in. So like other holiday palettes where they're kind of pinks and purples, she actually did something different with this one. So this one has kind of like a everyday brownie kind of beigey look. We have a pink look like always. I mean, it's Charlotte, what do you expect? No shade with that comment, but you know, she's known for pink. Then we've got like that kind of slatey kind of green kind of trio, and then we've got the silvery blue. Now I think that compared to the Icon palette, I like this one more, which is why it's in 4th place, because of the green and the blue in this palette. To me is a little bit more approachable, not as bold as the other 2 shades in the Icon. So this is one that I think is just a little bit more approachable, and I think why she put it in the holiday palette, because I think then it's just going to be really, really attractive for a ton of people. When you see these shades all like up close, I just think they're stunning. They do work together. I will say that the matte on the far right, if you kind of can guess, is kind of like my least used shade out of this entire one, just because of how dark it is. But I actually have used all 3 of those shades at the end together, and they are super beautiful for the holidays. So this is actually a very, very diverse palette. This is one I was going to skip on, but then my grandma actually gave this one to me, and now it has like some sentimental value. So I do love this palette for that as well. This palette for this past holiday is drastically different from the other one, which we will get to, but this one is super, super cute. If you can still find it, I think this is a great way for you to get some Charlotte shadows that really go beyond pink, I think, and still are fantastic quality. All right, now palette number 3 is one that's still available for sure. I know this. This is her 12-pan palette that she has done to extend her Pillow Talk collection. As you know, Pillow Talk is very, very popular. It's probably next to like the Magic stuff. It's like one of Charlotte's best-selling shades, best-selling products. Very, very, very important to the brand. So this is the Pillow Talk Instant Eye Palette, and this is coming in at number 3. The reason why I put this in number 3 is because this is also, I would say, my third most used Charlotte palette. It is one that offers the very standard Charlotte look, which is the pinks, the light browns, and the purpley pinks. So as you can see, this one actually has a ton more mattes than shimmers, which is a bit different for her as well. Comparatively to the Starry Eyes to Hypnotise palette, that one has more shimmers in it. This one has more mattes in it. As you can see, the shimmers are only in the first trio and in the last trio. The middle 2 trios actually are purely just mattes. So this is actually for like more of a matte fan, I would say. If you like mattes more than shimmers and you like pinks, this is a perfect palette for you because it just offers a beautiful array of everyday friendly shades, and most of them being mattes. Because I am more of a shimmer fan myself, I do love a good matte shadow, of course. It is a beautiful building block to any look, but I would say this is why this palette is in 3rd position versus 2nd position. If you guys know my collection, you kind of may think what is in 2nd at this point. But this is why it is in 3rd, because there's just more mattes than shimmers in this one. Not a bad thing, just a preference thing for myself. I do prefer a little bit more shimmers in a palette, so this is still super beautiful though, why it's ranked still really, really high. I love all the shades in here, super easy to put looks together. I think she's done a great job with expanding the Pillow Talk collection in this palette because I do see elements of the Pillow Talk collection in this 12-pan palette. So super beautiful and in palette number 3 position. All right, let's talk about palette number 2. This for sure is one that's discontinued now, unfortunately, and this is why it is in number 2 position over number 3, simply because it has more shimmers in this palette versus the Pillow Talk one. So this is one that I find I use a little bit more because there's more shimmer options. And because I'm a shimmer fan, that just makes sense. This is the Stars in Your Eyes palette. So this is from 2 Christmases ago, and this is in the very similar packaging style as Starry Eyes to Hypnotise, except this one is a beautiful plum kind of cranberry color. So you can see exact same like indentation in the palette with like the sun rays and stuff. And on the inside, we have beautiful, beautiful shades in here. So this one actually offers a little bit more shimmer options than the Pillow Talk one, like I said. But this one has some pinks, like a peachy pink, like always. I mean, it's Charlotte, so if there's no pinks in there, it'd be very surprising. Then we have some purples, we have some plums, we have some beiges, some whites. Like this is really, really nice for just the pink and purple lover, which is basically myself. So why I get on with her brand so well. So as you can see, the trios in here are super beautiful. We do have shimmer options in each one, and that's what I really like about this palette. It's very, very easy to put looks together like all of her palettes are, but I just love the color story of this one so, so much. I really wish it wasn't discontinued because I feel like a lot of people missed out on this one and they were really sad about it. This is just like an easy palette to grab, and this is one I've actually traveled with and been very surprised that it holds up so well. Considering I was like, is this gonna be very delicate in my bag? But it actually did survive, so that's good. Like this is kind of Jenna in a palette because it's a bit more muted some days, a bit more bold other days. That's kind of like me in a nutshell. I do like to have some lighter eyeshadow days, sometimes no eyeshadow, as you can tell, and then I like to have some purples and some bold looks too. So this is a beautiful palette, one of my favorites, and in 2nd position. I'm going to talk about the palette that is in 1st position. This is probably going to be no surprise to you. This is my absolute most used Charlotte palette. I've traveled with it a ton. It's probably my oldest palette now in my collection as well, so you can tell it's just like been a showstopper. It's stood the test of time. It's a fantastic quad. I wear this a lot, as in multiple times a week. It's just a very easy palette to put on your eyes, a very, very beautiful palette, and best-selling for a reason. This is the Luxury Eye Palette in Pillow Talk. This is the quad that came before the 12-pan Pillow Talk palette that I just talked about, and this is in the 1st position because I use this one a ton. It is so, so cute. I love the pinks in here. You know, when I said that Jenna in a palette was the other one, I feel like this is everyday Jenna in a palette. This is just one that I have used so much and appreciated so much. Every time I wear this, actually no, I shouldn't say that. Most times I wear this, I do get compliments on my eyes. I won't say every time because I wear it so often and that would be lying. I don't always get a compliment on my eyeshadow, but this is one that just enhances your eyes and brings light to your eye, but it's not super bold, super drastic. It's just beautiful. The pop shade is an elegant kind of pinky, silvery, champagne-y shift. It's so, so gorgeous. And the pinks here just give it enough of a smoke to kind of enhance your eye. And same with that pink in the top right corner. It's just so, so stunning. This is a quad that obviously I can tell why it's so best-selling because everybody loves the shades in here. They complement every eye color, I think, very well too because they're just so neutral. And like I said, everyday friendly, day friendly to night friendly. Love this palette. It's the oldest one now in my collection. I have talked about this on my channel before, but the pop shade in the bottom left corner, if it ends up getting hard pan, because a lot of people apply that with their finger, and often you can get hard pan from all the oils kind of building up in the pan from applying it with your finger, just make sure you take a little piece of clear tape and just kind of gently lift up some of that hard pan, and you'll be able to refresh that shade for many uses to come. As I said, the Pillow Talk Quad is my oldest and most appreciated palette out of all of them. I think that was the palette that I bought first, and it started my entire craze of the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows. So let me know down below, what are your favorite Charlotte Tilbury palettes? Do you think I should be picking one up that I do not have in this ranking that you absolutely love? Because I would love to check out all of your favorites. And until my next one, guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us. It shows the way.